Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Raw report for the 6th of December 2021. My gosh, the fact that this show's been on nearly 30 years, it'll be 30 years in about a year from now, is just abysmally bad and embarrassing and a lot of things. Um, anyway, Rollins welcomes us to Raw. Backstage promo, he looks forward to watching Big E and Kevin Owens rip each other apart in a steel cage before he wins the championship at day one. This day one concept is just goofy as it is. Anyway, they cut to Big E where he warns Owens that there's no shortcuts tonight and he would get punished. Elsewhere, Owens accuses Big E of being a liar because WWE doesn't belong to Big E. It belonged to him. Owens then wins the title, and day one would rejoice when he wins. Anyway, non-title steel cage match. Big E defeats Kevin Owens 20 minutes, 6 seconds. Owens tries to leave, but Big E stops him, taking control. Owens dodges, and Big E goes straight into the cage, and then sets up a commercial break for a few minutes. 3-minute commercial break, or into the match. Then Owens tries to leave. Big E stops him. Owens responds with a moonsault off the top rope, but gets 2 count. Big E then dives Owens and drives him into the side of the cage for near fall. Big E then tries to leave through the door, despite saying he wanted to create punishment. Big E fires back with a belly-to-belly suplexes, but Owens responds with a super kick and a cannonball for a near fall. Owens then applies a Boston Crab, or and then Big E drags himself toward the door. As they get close to the exit, Rollins appears and slams the door, which knocked both men down. After the second break, Big E then again stops Owens from leaving, but Owens raked the eyes before hitting the frog splash for near fall. Big E then comes back with an STO for a 2 count. Big E then blocks a stunner but runs right into the pop-up powerbomb by Owens for the 2 count. Big E then blocks Owens and hits leaving again. Big E hits a big ending off the middle ropes. Owens tries to stop Big E from escaping through the door, but Big E manages to crawl out for the win. Typical cage match. Both guys worked hard, but inconsequential. Anyway, Rollins attacks Big E as he celebrates before going after Owens. Big E gives Rollins an overhead suplex and lays out Owens with another big ending. Bobby Lashley runs out and lays out all 3 guys during a commercial break, and they showed us replays of this when they returned. They announced a tournament to determine the next challengers for the RK Bro. The tournament has 4 teams. Tag team champions Queen Zelina with Carmella defeats Nikki Ash with Rhea Ripley 202. Zelina wins clean with a code red. Nobody really cares about this. Nikki Ash is continually called the weak link of the team, so apparently that's going somewhere. Riddle and Randy Orton speak in the back. Riddle then wants to ensure that he's calling the tournament the RK Bro Tournament, and that is a stupid name. Riddle is then dressed like in a fake tuxedo shirt and a tan blazer. He's then dressed that way because he and Orton would be special correspondents for the tournament. Orton said he didn't agree to that concept. Riddle is also has a blazer for Orton and says everyone wanted him to wear it. The crowd cheers this. Orton is obviously not happy with this idea, agrees to wear it in the end, however. Ripley then manages to console Nikki in the back, and the fans seem to approach Nikki for an autograph because she's her favorite. Nikki, happy to oblige, but the fan actually is referring to someone else. Camera pans over to reveal Jerry Lawler, who gets a big reaction because they're in Memphis tonight. Anyway, Street Profits defeat AJ Styles and Almost by counter at 9:43. As we enter the second hour, Riddle is on commentary and said he'd love to face Dominic and Rey Mysterio. He enjoys the father and son duo, and said he and Orton have a similar dynamic. Not quite. They go to a break about a minute and a half into the match. We open the second hour. Styles and Almost are in control early until Montez Ford makes a hot tag. And then Almost gets angry when he gets smacked with a glove, but Dawkins assisted Ford in knocking him off the apron. Styles then goes to give Ford Pele kick and a brainbuster. Styles then goes for the phenomenal forearm, but Almost tags himself in. Dawkins drops Styles from the apron, so Almost knocks down Dawkins, and then Almost then goes to the back. Dawkins comes at this again. Styles is alerted Almost that he's on the verge of getting counted out. Almost then gets back on time so that he's indeed counted out. Styles hits an advance, and then Styles tries to tell Almost that he needed to listen to him. Almost then just walked out on him, and Riddle does a bit where he tries to interview Styles. Styles isn't interested. Styles then threatens Riddle. Before deciding to leave, Riddle asked Orton if he wanted to add anything. Orton grabs the mic and says, "Nope," which got a laugh from the crowd. Sarah then interviews Becky Lynch. She said nobody really wants Liv Morgan to win. Fans like you when you do well, but if you don't do well, they turn on you, is basically her sentiment. Orton then tells Riddle that his broadcasting career is over for now, and they go back to the other deal. Then we get Damian Priest defeating Robert Roode with Dolph Ziggler to retain the U.S. Championship. 9:37. I didn't even remember that Damian Priest was still the U.S. Champion. Ziggler distracts Priest, which allows Roode to shove him into the steel steps before knocking him over the barricade. After the break, Roode comes back with a blockbuster for a near fall. Priest fights back and hits a broken arrow for a 2 count, but Roode responds with a backstabber for a 2 count of his own. Priest then uses a series of strikes, but Roode nails him with a spine buster for a near fall. They trade counters. Priest hits the Reckoning for the win. Match is fine, but inconsequential. Ziggler super kicks Priest after the match. Maybe they'll have a match somewhere down the road. This Week in History segment showing Lita beating Trish for the women's title. Raw main event, North Carolina. They show Liv Morgan receive a good luck text from Trish Stratus today. Anyway, Doudrop attacks Belair before the upcoming match. Belair then gets to her feet and waits patiently through a long commercial break for the match to begin. Belair defeats Doudrop via countout 12:58. Can't believe that runs that long. Doudrop controls the match through the commercial break. Belair comes back with a spine buster and a flying crossbody for near fall. Belair then tries a sunset flip, but Doudrop sits out and hits a Vader bomb for near fall of her own. Belair avoids a cannonball and tries hoisting Doudrop up on the shoulders, KOD, which then gets the crowd busting, and she couldn't quite do what she needed to do. Doudrop fell and rolled out of the ring and walked to the back for the countout. This was fine, but they cut it off and had a wonky finish. Austin Theory joins Vince McMahon in his office. Again, Theory hasn't learned any of the lessons that Vince meant to teach him. McMahon is annoyed. Miz TV with Edge as a guest, and this is just here to fill time, because I can't imagine in 2021 anyone cares about Miz or Edge in this particular program. Miz said Maurice isn't here tonight because she doesn't visit places like Memphis. Miz rewatches his segment with Edge last week. Couldn't believe he received a compliment from him. He wondered if Edge was just a shell of his former self. Edge entered. Edge said he meant what he said last week. Miz asked if Rated R Superstar had lost his edge. Miz thought the old Edge would have speared him out of his $9,000 shoes last week, but instead he just sounded old. Edge mocks him for spending that much on shoes and warning Miz not to mistake his kindness for weakness. Miz says he could have used kindness years ago when he kicked out of the locker room. Edge then said he was too busy protecting his spot instead of helping someone who clearly had the it factor. Miz didn't want his kindness anymore. Edge then told Miz to paint him with that brush. In fact, he was in this arena. Edge pulled Miz aside and told him he did have something. Miz brushed him off. Edge then went through the same things Miz did earlier in his career, but the difference between them was Edge didn't enter the locker room thinking he deserved better. Edge then looks forward to wrestling new talent and wasn't interested in holding people down. Edge calls him a donkey, and then Miz said that he's surprised Edge would kick off the new year by beating him on day one. Edge accepts the challenge, and then Edge challenged him to fight right now. Miz said, of course, no. Miz about to go on another rant, but Edge psyched him out like he's going to attack Miz, and Miz basically runs away. Sarah interviews Liv Morgan. She says she thought that Lynch was afraid, but everyone actually did want to see her win. Lynch is used to getting what she wants, but Morgan planned on doing everything to take all of that away. Dominic and Rey Mysterio defeat Alpha Academy 315. Why even have them get dressed for this? Dominic and Chad Gable work the entire match. Gable misses a moonsault, and Dominic catches him with a roll-up pin, and Dominic and Rey advance to face the Street Profits. Riddle then tries interviewing Alpha Academy. Otis slams him for his trouble. McMahon informs Theory that he's doing jumping jacks, that he's unable to get a match tonight, so he'll have to find another way to impress him. Theory decided to unzip his shirt because he's been doing jumping jacks. McMahon told him to stop and try something else, suggested Theory use his brain, and Theory runs away. Finn Balor defeats T-Bar in 3:38. T-Bar controlled the majority of the match. Balor wins with the coup de grace, and crowd is happy for Balor. Austin Theory attacks Balor post-match and lays him out with the ATL. Theory takes selfies. R-Truth and Akira Tozawa run in disguise and surprise Dana Brooke, but they didn't attack her because Truth wasn't sure that's PG, and that's obviously a knock at how bad the product is. They also warned that they could have had her, but they let her go. Reggie speaks to Brooks, but then they were intrigued when Tamina comes chasing after her, and that interrupts that pattern. Patrick asks MVP and Lashley why Lashley attacked Big E. Rollins and Owens. MVP told Patrick that people nowadays are too afraid of disrespecting others because they're afraid of the consequences, but Lashley wasn't. Lashley said these men faced consequences for trying to have a WWE title match without him. Then there's a Liv Morgan video package featuring clips featuring a deal they did with her on the network. Lynch enters, then they go to commercial, and Morgan enters, and they go to commercial again. Becky Lynch defeats Liv Morgan to retain the championship 14:49. They do a lot of counters and cradles and near falls. Lynch decks Morgan with a right hand. Morgan then comes back with a missile drop kick. Lynch sends her to the outside and hits a thrust kick. Morgan nails a code breaker before hitting a suicide dive. Lynch then responds with a superplex. Then we go to the commercial break. Lynch then hits a leg drop as Morgan drapes her over the middle rope for near fall. Lynch then becomes frustrated and says she wasn't able to put Morgan away yet. Morgan then fights back with right hands, but Lynch follows up with a reverse DDT for near fall. Lynch then goes to the top, but Lynch yanks her off, causing her to land next first on the barricade, or on the buckle rather. Morgan manages to hit Enziguri. Both women go down. Morgan fires up and hits a codebreaker. Off the ropes for the 2 count. Morgan then sends Lynch to the apron before stepping away, and Morgan follows up with a missile dropkick for near fall. Morgan applies the Rings of Saturn. Lynch counters that into a disarmor and quickly gets a rope break. Morgan applies the bunches of cradle, but Lynch kicks out every time. Lynch rolls Morgan up while holding the ropes, pinfall, and Lynch retains. They worked very hard, and Morgan has always had something. Hopefully, they allow her to continue to show it, but I don't think they have the long term storytelling to do exactly that. We'll be back with more after this.